Hey Laughter Tribe, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Crystal Laughter. I'm a mom of 7, a 17-time self-published author and creator of Crystal Laughter Academy, an online school for you to heal from trauma of toxic relationships, to develop that self-love, build that self-confidence, and to become a self-published author. So if that sounds like you, go ahead and check it out. I'll put the link to that, my academy and my books and everything else down below. So I'm doing this video because I want to help. I want to help women especially because honestly, there's a lot of information that we don't have, that we didn't get. A lot of knowledge that's absent, that was never passed down. And it's causing us to settle for less. It's causing us to accept things that we should never accept, to be in relationships we should have never been in, all because of this lack of information. And the women I talk to, in myself included, are smart women, we're educated women, you know, as far as like in the world and all that stuff. But when it comes to relationships, it's like we disconnect our heart from our head, and so it's all emotional. And as long as we feel a certain way, then we are continuing to try to sustain relationships that are not sustainable, and it's affecting our mental health, our self worth, our identity, and it's really hindering us. And I'm so passionate about this. I've a 2-time domestic violence survivor, mom of 7, so you can take the mistakes of anybody and learn from them, and I'm sharing my mistakes with you guys to help you, because life is already hard enough. You don't need to be in a relationship with someone who's hurting you and calling it love, because that's not love, right? So what is a man's role in a relationship? What does that look like? Here comes my kids, so just hold on a second. I told them to stay inside, but they don't be listening sometimes. Okay, I think it's handled. My older daughter, I think she handled it. But anyway, and so if I could tell you anything and just sum it up in one sentence, I would say this: a man's job in a relationship, whether you are dating, well, no, let me say in a relationship, in a serious relationship. So this is like, you guys really serious. You guys are planning on being together in a relationship, is to protect and to provide. And so you may be like, some people may be wondering, how do you know what a man's role is? You're a woman. Well, being a woman, I'm on the receiving end, and I know what it looks like when these things are absent. So you can learn many different ways. You can learn from seeing a good example of a man, having a good father, or having a good example of what that looks like. And I've seen that as well, not as often as I'd like, but I've seen that. I've never experienced it, not having a father. But being on the receiving end of being married twice and seeing the lack, of what I needed and not getting that, being refused that, being denied that, and the impact that it's had on me as a woman. So that's the place that I speak from, not from bitterness, you know what I mean? From a healed place, from a healed and a healing place is where I come to you. And so a man's responsibility in a relationship is to protect and to provide for the woman in that relationship that he loves, that he cares for. And you will know how a man feels about you by the way that he treats you. Because the way that he treats you is the way that he feels about you. And what he thinks about you is reflected in the way that he treats you, whether it's loving or unloving, whether it's caring or uncaring. It will be very evident in what he does. And this is why I wrote the book, He Doesn't Love You If ... It's available on Amazon. You can get it ebook, paperback, hard copy. If you're wondering about a relationship, if a man really loves you, if he's willing to go the distance, read that book. It's really going to help you. It's short, sweet. I get straight to the point like I do in my videos, and it's really going to help you get clear on that. But how he treats you is how he feels about you. And like I said, protecting and providing and being that covering, and if you're a person of faith, you hear that word covering. A man is supposed to cover you in a relationship, and that is basically protecting and providing. But protecting what? Providing what? So, protecting you. you know, we see on the outside, it's very obvious, like physically. A man is usually bigger, stronger, more, you know, muscular, heavier, usually. Um, and so God created a man like that to be able to protect physically, you know, for his family, his woman, his children. And so a man is supposed to do that, number one. And I seen a wonderful example of this at the store yesterday. I was at Ross taking my two children to get some, you know, different things. And we were in the aisle, and the aisles are very tiny. And so we were like in the corner of the aisle, like between the corner of the aisle and like exiting the aisle. So here we are right here, and then there's a woman right here with a cart. I'm not really paying attention because I'm looking at stuff, you know, and then her and my son's right here too. And so her boyfriend or whoever steps in front of her. You know, she has a car, but he steps in front of her and he makes a way for her to pass, and he says, "Excuse me." And so he stepped in front of her, protecting her from anything, you know, if I had an attitude, whatever. He didn't know me. You know what I mean? So he was blocking her and protecting her by moving in front of her and making a way for her, you know. So, and he said, "Excuse me," and then she passed right behind him. And that was a beautiful illustration. And in my mind, I knew, I'm like, he's protecting her. And I thought that was so sweet. And it was so small, and it could, you know, be easily overlooked. But I see, and I said, he's protecting her. And I was like, wow, that's good. Good job. That's beautiful. And so that's just a simple way that a man protects his woman. And he protected her physically, but also emotionally. Like if I was like, well, you see how I'm saying here? Like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, all those stereotypes that I'm not. But yeah, could be anybody, you know. And so he protected her. That simple act of standing in front of her and making a way for her was beautiful. And it was a wonderful example of protecting emotionally and physically. So that, and so here comes the whole, you know, physical violence thing. So if a man is, you know, toxic in that way, no, that's a no-go. That's the absolute 100% no-go. You're not safe. You're not healthy. You need to heal. And it's not my job to heal you, fix you, wait around for you. That's a absolute no. Terminate relationship. And I know it's easier said than done. Believe me, been there, done that. But if you were in like the, you know, beginning stage of relationship, and it's easier for you to exit when someone, you see the signs of someone being angry, you know, having mental health issues, or not stable, might be prone to violence because of their past or because of behavior you are seeing, girl, you better go, like, for real. Like, no, red flags are, I put my book on, what is it? Love Yourself Again. Red flags are information, not invitations. I forgot exactly how I worded it, but red flags are not invitations. Like, you don't invite yourself, oh, he's hurting, he's angry, let me go find out. No, you better get your butt and leave, okay? Red flags are, information, not invitation. And I still might be messing up. Forgive me, but this is what the book looks like on Amazon. Love Yourself Again. It's a part of the Love Yourself series on Amazon. But the information that we receive from people are information for us to make decisions, not invitations for us to invite ourselves into, to fix them or into their mess. So just know that you will save yourself if you just take that quote and put that in your pocket. Like, you're gonna help yourself. But so like I said, protecting and then providing. And then so a lady contacted me this morning through my DMs and just, you know, asked me about some relationship advice about, she gave me permission to share, because I take people's trust very seriously, and I would never do that. So if you contact me, you're gonna remain anonymous. Even if I use the example, no one will ever know who you are. But thank you for giving me permission to share the situation. And so the young lady is pregnant, married, been having, you know, trouble in a relationship for a while. She's contacted me before, but this time she said that her husband, I think she's 2 months away from having the baby, so she's like 7 months pregnant, and her husband is DMing a woman on social media, supposedly a friend, and in the message he said that the relationship with my baby's mother, not wife, probably isn't going to work out. And then some other stuff, you know. But there wasn't anything like sexual in nature or anything like that. But he was talking to another woman, disclosing their personal information, talking about how he wants to continue being friends and talking to this lady. Um, and she asked me if it was inappropriate, and she was right to be upset and angry. And let me just tell you this, as a person who has been in a toxic relationship, has been oppressed and suppressed, and told, like, your feelings aren't valid, you're not enough. Like, that is not okay. That's not okay. Who you are and what you feel is valid. It doesn't mean it's always right what you feel, but when someone is blatantly being disrespectful, when you're in a relationship, which everyone knows is supposed to be like between two people, that's why it's a relationship. Otherwise, you should be single. Common sense. But if you are in a relationship, in a marriage, nonetheless, it should be understood that that's a sacred space between two people, and no one has the right to come in and just, disrupt that. And if a partner in the marriage is allowing someone to come in and disrupt that and telling, by them telling their business to other people, especially someone of the opposite sex, is inappropriate, to say the least. And it's just asking for trouble. And I've had experience with that in my marriage, my last marriage, of my ex divulging personal information and just really just being manipulative and using, and lies, honestly, just blatant lies, to make people think the worst about me, to make me think I was the problem when it was really him. Very narcissistic, you know what I mean? Trying to destroy my reputation. It was just horrible. It was literally a nightmare. It was like just horrible. 10 years of just utter like hell. So thank God that I'm not there anymore. But a man's job is to protect. So not only physically, but emotionally, spiritually. We'll get to that. Maybe we'll get to that. But if not, emotionally, which means protecting your emotions. If they're not doing anything intentionally that would harm you, like, how would they feel if you did the same thing? If they would feel wrong about them doing the same thing, but then they don't feel that way when they do it to you, red flag. Not okay. And it just is a sign of a lack of respect, a lack of character on their part, and that's something that has to be addressed, or the relationship is not gonna be sustainable in a healthy way. Like, you could sustain a relationship, any relationship, but it's gonna cost you something. Toxic relationships cost you everything: your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health. I mean, like, as a woman of faith, as a Christian, like, when I was in those marriages, like, even though my spouses were supposedly Christians, like, I was like, Lord, okay, God, you must be okay with this, because you're not doing nothing about it. I must not be valued. God must favor men. God must not really love me because he's allowing me to go through all this. And they're supposedly men of God, but they're abusing me mentally, physically. They're stealing, killing, and destroying, like the enemy says. You know what I mean? And I don't seem valuable. They don't value me. I'm always wrong, even though I know that what I'm doing is right and that I'm standing for what is right. I'm always made to feel like the bad person, so there must be something wrong with me. So it's not healthy for anyone to be in a toxic relationship just because of what it does to you on the inside. It makes you lose who you are. You become someone else's version of what you think, of what they think you should be. And the person who is defining this is not even healthy, because if they were, they wouldn't have a need to control you, to manipulate you, and to make you feel less than so they can feel good enough. And that's what the problem is. So no, it's not okay. So the situation, I told her, no, it's not okay. It's disrespectful, and it's emotional cheating, because he made a commitment to you, forsaking all others. Remember that vow. Forsaking all others. So if he's willing to divulge to some person on social media, hey, my baby mama, it ain't working out. I know she's pregnant and everything. It ain't working out. Like, whose information? Why are you telling that? That's disrespectful. That's a violation of trust. And that's not protecting. And that's not okay. And definitely it's a red flag. And if it's not addressed, it's going to destroy the relationship, because it's going to seep into other areas of your relationship. You know what I mean? So, no. A man's job is to protect physically, emotionally, spiritually. Praying, watching out, watching and praying, because the Bible says the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and that we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So if a man is in his, just not where he's supposed to be, not where he's supposed to be in his character, not where he's supposed to be in his life spiritually, he's not going to be able to be a protector of you spiritually, or even maybe even physically and emotionally, because he's not in the right alignment with God. When you're not in right alignment with the Lord, you can't be in right alignment with other people, because he's supposed to come first. So I hope that was helpful. But so we went over protecting and providing. The obvious financially, of course, nowadays it's what works for your relationship, and however that works for you guys. If it's okay with both of you guys, then it is what it is. But providing, even like emotionally too, I'm available to you. I'm here for you when you need me. I'm that shoulder to cry on. Are you with someone who does that? Are they there for you when you need them? Or is it just you always pouring out, and then your cup is empty and it's just dripping dry because they're never there for you? Like in my relationship, I remember my nephew passed away. He was 15. I was so close with him when he was younger. He passed away. My husband knew about it. He didn't even know him. This happened before. So he passed away. And then my husband went to this little selfish, self-centered, depression about how it was his fault. And I was like, really? You never knew my nephew. Like, and toxic people will do that. They will do everything, sorry about the dog, it takes to get the focus back on them, because that's where their power is. Like, if I can get you focused on me and my needs and what I want, and I need this and I need that, then you're not thinking about yourself. So when you start sacrificing your peace, your joy, your finances, your health to take care of them, like, you're not thinking about it because you have this heart to help you. Like, I'm helping, oh, I'm doing this for you, I'm doing it. But what are they doing for you? That's not selfish. Okay? If you want just to be the focus on you, then be single. But when you're in a relationship, there's two people, okay? And they're supposed to become one in marriage, according to what I read. I don't know about you, but it's supposed to be that oneness, and that oneness is what hurts me hurts you. How you feel is matters to me, because it affects me. And if it's not like that, then you guys got to get help. And if that person don't want help, been there, done that. There's nothing you can do. If a person looks at themselves and looks at their situation and says, I'm fine, there's nothing wrong with me, there is nothing on this earth or in heaven that can make them change. I mean, that's a lie, because God, but what I mean is, like, God doesn't make people change. He gives people choices. And so therefore, you have to give people choices. Either they get to be who they are, or they can say, hey, who I am is not working out. It's hurting other people. It's hurting me. It's not working. I need to change. And that is a personal choice that God gives us all. And you can't force them to do that. So if someone refuses to change, doesn't want to change, there's nothing you can do. And at that moment, you need to say, okay, I see you. I see you for who you are. This is not going to work for me because of this, and you get to make that choice. No one gets to make that for you, but you do. But you need to make it from a place of love, of self-love. We already know you love them. That's why he's still there, putting up with all that. Do you love you? No. Can you love yourself the way that you loved others? Because the Bible says love others as you love yourself. We don't hear about that. We hear about forgiveness. Go ahead and forgive. God said don't forgive or he ain't gonna forgive you. Okay, that's true. But can you forgive yourself for letting someone abuse you, mistreat you, violate you over and over for the sake of love? Because that's not love. That's not love. You have to love yourself with the same love, and even greater than you love other people. Because if you don't, you will lose yourself. And then what will there be left to love? Someone else's version of you. Someone that God didn't create. And you won't know who you are, and you're going to be the shell of yourself because you didn't love yourself. Child, that's why I wrote Love Yourself First. This whole series, I got a 4-part series. Love Yourself First, Love Yourself Again, which is details my journey of self-love. And then, the Love Yourself Workbook, book and affirmation journal. man, it's gonna help you heal. If you are really serious about healing and about learning the balance, like, where do I end? Where does someone else begin? What are the boundaries that I need? Who am I? How do I find myself? Get the book, get the series. It's really gonna bless your life. But a man's job in a relationship is to provide for you and protect you emotionally and physically. And if you are feeling like that's not happening, there needs to be a conversation. If that person you're with does not care that you are hurting, or that something that they're doing is hurting you and affecting you, and they're not concerned about it, that's a problem. That's a problem. And it's not going to be pretty if you choose to stay without change. There has to be boundaries. You have to have boundaries, and say that if someone is not willing to give me this, someone who made a commitment to me, to love me, to be faithful, to cherish me, and they are breaking that vow, they're not being faithful, either emotionally, physically, watching, the videos. That's all infidelity. They're being physically, mentally with their words, emotionally. No, that's a violation of the covenant that they made to love you, to forsake, to protect you. No. And I was thinking about this, like how the vow says, till death do us part. What about the spiritual death? What about the emotional death? The death of your identity as a result of staying in these toxic relationships. That's death. And when that death happens, you need to part. Okay? If that person's not willing to change, then do what you need to do, but protect yourself. Don't stay for years hoping and praying that someone will change, because the only change that will happen is when they choose to change. Okay? That's it. Not because you pray, not because you change you, not because you love them more, not because you forgive them. When they choose to change is when they will change, and not a moment before. And it may not be till they lost you when it's over and it's too late. And that's their choice. But at least you will have the self-respect, the dignity, to move on and love yourself again. I talk about in the second chapter the 4 pillars of self-love: self-confidence, self-development, self-respect, and self-preservation. Pretty self-explanatory. Self-preservation, though, knowing when you need to go, knowing when it's time to leave, knowing how to be like, okay, I'm cutting my losses. I spent years here. I'm not spending more. I'm not losing anything else. I've already lost everything because of you. I'm not going to lose me anymore. So I hope that that's not your situation, but if it is, be encouraged. Be encouraged. God has great things for you. It's not over. It's just the beginning. You can thrive. You can overcome, and you can live a life that's worthy of living, that you're happy and proud of. It doesn't have to be filled with suffering and pain and confusion, because that's not God's will for your life. So, my name is Crystal. I'm here to help you. If you have any questions, if you have any whatever, you can DM me personally, or you can send me an email, or you can put a comment. Just leave a video idea, suggestion, or question. I will try to do a video on it. Maybe short, maybe long. Just depends. But I love you guys. You guys are amazing. You're awesome. You are loved. You are ferociously and amazingly loved by God. You are not alone. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and God loves you. He said that, our help comes from Him. So when all is said and done, when you're alone, when I'm not on these videos, when you're alone by yourself, when you think that it's over, God is there. So love Him, pray to Him, know that He's watching out for you, and that He's going to be there. It might not look like you think, want, but He will always be there. So call on Him. He loves you. I love you guys. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. It helps people find me. You need to find me and get this healing, loving, soul, healing message. So go and share it. I love you guys, and I will see you later. Bye.